It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso on S3. JP Sebastian, he is in the house, which means we are talking all things movies that's currently on the circuit. These are movies that came out pretty much during the holidays, so let's just catch us up on the movies that we should go and see.
While we were on, in hibernation as a TV show, obviously the other things were still going on. So there were a couple, and one that I'll talk about a bit later was particularly interesting to me and particularly exciting. But some of them, it's not all, necessarily movies that you have to see. These are three that are presently on circuit. So if you're looking for ideas for what to go see this weekend,
these are some great ones.
Possibly great. Oh, we'll leave that up to the discussion. So Savage Salvation is the first one. And what I did with this...
I looked at the trailer, it had me intrigued.
Yeah, I'm also like half intrigued too. Don't worry, I'm not mocking you or anything like that. Because who doesn't love the vigilante justice movie? Liam Neeson loses his head, he's like gonna get revenge for everything. Going all the way back to like Charles Bronson in the 80s, and good grief, Robert De Niro, one of the greatest actors we ever had. But man, on Metacritic, the review aggregating website, it's like averaging 25. Even with viewers, it's averaging 4 out of 10.
Really?
Maybe you want to make up your own mind, but Robert De Niro and John Malkovich, I had to Google after this, why does Robert De Niro act in crap? I literally had to Google.
I think he's just taking on less serious roles.
You deserve that after a while, right?
I think he's just enjoying himself right now. I mean, with this one, the storyline is very beautiful. This guy gets engaged, falls in love.
Thinks there's a new start.
And then, obviously, his fiancée passed away.
I'll flesh that out for you, but so it's got to do with the opioid. You obviously see the romance of it all, and that's beautiful, but it's set in the horror of the opioid epidemic in the United States, where both of them are ex-addicts trying to go through it, trying to get clean and start a new life in a small town. But at the forefront of this small town, man in the gate, is this one sheriff, which is Robert De Niro, fighting this wave of the drug war right at his doorstep. And like you say, on the porch of their house, he finds the corpse of his beloved, who was his way out. They were each other's way out. And so he finds a way into the gang.
So he's now taking revenge.
And what's interesting, I suppose, as well, is like we kind of like stories like this, going back also to remember the Boondock Saints. You have the detective come in, and he knows he's got to stop the vigilante, but he knows that that guy's also possibly been productive.
Yeah.
Does he join him in the vigilante justice?
He's just like, oops, he got away.
Oh, yeah, whoops, he killed another like 5 gang members. Maybe it was worth our time, maybe it wasn't. So look, whatever, make up your own mind, but man, I feel so I can't watch Robert De Niro. It makes me Donato.
I shame. Well, listen, Jennifer Lopez is someone I love, and this next movie, Shotgun Wedding, I really thought, just looking at the name, not seeing the poster, thinking,
exactly.
oh, cute, a little rom-com with Jennifer Lopez.
She is the stalwart at. This is
her type of movies. I did not expect gun action. I'm like, okay, now the name makes sense.
But you know that she's what I really respect about her is that she's game for anything. She's up for whatever. She's a great comedic actor. I don't know if people give her that kind of credit. Yeah. She's got like a great sense of self to know when she can take the mickey out of herself and whatnot. So
obviously, being part of a movie set, I'm watching this. She's pretty much all the time in this wedding dress, and I'm just thinking, from a continuity perspective, how did they shoot this movie? Because this dress went from white to different shades of cream before it got torn up.
Guys, we take for granted so much, like in the movie making process. Just going back to just because I'm seeing The Jungle in here and whatever. Don't know if you remember, they shot Tomb Raider in South Africa. There was a whole 18-wheeler truck for that, for 80 costumes for various stages of disrepair. So for like an expensive wedding dress like this, you can imagine the costume department had to do a minimum of 60 dresses. So the story being is that they're having a wedding in an exotic locale. It's this beautiful island where they're getting away from everything. She's having enough of a fight with Jennifer Coolidge, who just won the Emmy for The White Lotus. I think a lot of people are happy about that. She's fantastic, going all the way back again to Stifler's mom. But fights enough are difficult enough with the in-laws. Now they have to fight pirates who invade this island. And so the new couple realizes, wait, we were a team this whole time.
Yeah.
We do click in ways that we just didn't expect. And now it just involves grenades and shotguns, etc.
And shotguns. Fun movie.
Like I said, I feel like we take for granted how much she's willing to be a goofball in comedies. And shame, I guess there's Josh Duhamel as well, if you're into that, the other actor. But yeah. comedy, maybe once in a while, rom-com.
A rom-com.
Let your hair down, folks.
Well, let's
Out
take a
loud.
look at the final one. I Want to Dance with Somebody. This is the Whitney Houston movie that everyone's talking about.
Big deal. Like, did it get like the kind of marketing that we saw for like Bohemian Rhapsody, the
don't
Freddie
think
Mercury
so.
movie? Yeah. And it doesn't look terrible. I mean, good grief, it's got Stanley Tucci, who's one of the best we've got. Naomi Ackie, obviously, as well. How do you make a movie about a heavyweight like this? The musical biopic, we've treaded so many paths now, from Elton John's story, like I said,
People
Freddie
will
Mercury.
watch it for the music.
Yeah, maybe people like a sing-along, I suppose, but maybe that can also lead to the problem of a lot of people are saying, like critics and whatnot, that this is too much of a by-the-numbers type thing, which doesn't make it bad necessarily, but predictable. But for a life that was as complex as hers,
Yeah.
whether it was, a difficulty with like,
Do they unpack that?
apparently it's too sanitized in a way. It's too sort of
Because
whitewashed.
it was messy and it played out in the media.
Yeah, that's right, and she had difficulties, whether it was from abusive relationships to abusive industrial relationships to finding her own place. At the start of her career, at least, they do try to cover like, is this a black woman's kind of style of singing at the same time that we just came through, Randy Crawford or whoever, or Gladys Knight, etc., etc. So to go into the sort of like Cyndi Lauper kind of thing, I think is where the story starts off. That she wants to just be a pop star. Thereafter, it doesn't necessarily, I think, doesn't find enough teeth and claws.
Oh, okay.
But maybe we make make up your own mind on this. If you're a Whitney Houston fan, like you said, you're definitely going to be there just for the music.
Definitely.
I Want to Dance with Somebody is out now in South Africa.
Well, all of the movies we've just unpacked with JP Sebastian's currently on circuit. So if you're looking for some entertainment for you, for a date night, for the family, for the friends, now you have some great options. But don't go anywhere. JP Sebastian will be back with more movies.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. JP Sebastian is here as we unpack more movies currently on the big screen. It is part 2, and if you've missed it, don't worry. JP's here to unpack a few more movies for you. So let's start off with part 2's first movie, M3 Gun. Megan, I had to say it like
Yeah,
that.
you're not doing yourself any favors as a movie if you're making people type in letters then numbers to search you on Google. But it's obviously achieving enough popularity as horror movies, and especially from Blumhouse do. Blumhouse, this is a story by James Wan, guy who did Saw and all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
So
so it's quite gruesome.
seasoned. Actually, I think this one might have a PG-13, but do check that for yourself if you want to take kids and whatever else. Can't tell you that offhand. But surprisingly, they did cut out a lot of the more gory stuff.
Okay.
There is going to be an R-rated cut coming out eventually, obviously, when it comes to Blu-ray.
I don't know if I want to see that though.
Don't you like horror movies? But, I think that, you obviously got a point that the gore isn't necessarily what makes something unnerving and
Yes.
disturbing. And still, this gets away with being disturbing for some people. Now, it might not be for everyone necessarily. It's like for me, for example, I don't care about zombies. Like, nothing can make me thrill about something I could flick and it should fall over and crumble. But maybe AI taking over our lives is scary enough. Every time you say, hello, Google, to a device, and it knows it's watching you and whatever else. Megan is this carer for this little girl. She just lost her parents, and she's got Alison Williams, who previously people should remember from Get Out with Daniel Kaluuya. So she's got obviously her season in horror. She's really tested. Great actress that she is. And the little girl is now orphaned to this aunt character who works as a roboticist at this company where she makes this doll, which at first malfunctions in front of the CEO, and he's like, no, cut the project. Then she experiments with making the doll this caring sister type figure to the young girl. Who
creepy.
becomes way too attached the way we can to our devices and becomes way too protective, as you're seeing here now. I think that's the last you see of this boy. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil anything for you necessarily.
Okay, well, if you say that's the last you see the boy, we know what happens to the boy.
Takes on a new life in another town, adventures of his own.
Goodness.
No. All fours running, yes, I'm there. Creepy dancing that you eventually see at some point, yes, I'm there. Robotics is an interesting thing as a sci-fi kind of thematic thing. A lot of when these things come around, like, what? Yes. When these stories come around, it's like, oh man, what will AI do to us spiritually? What will AI do to us phenomenologically and all that kind of stuff? Blade Runner, AI with Haley Joel Osment, all these kinds of, it gets deep and really profound and whatever. Fortunately, apparently, according to critics, it's very layered in that it's got the right amount of goofiness to it. It's got the right amount of horror, and obviously it asks
So critics are liking Megan.
Absolutely, fans too. So it's averaging something like 70 for a horror. That's really good.
That's really good.
It's out at the moment in South Africa if you're into this kind of thing. Like I said, robotics, the last time we saw something that was as well as goofy as having a bit of intelligence to it too, and also its own kind of scariness was like RoboCop back in the 80s.
Okay, so that was quite a while ago.
Yeah, a good sort of turn here that they're making with the
There
Matrix.
we go. Well, listen, we promised you 2 movies. Let's take a look at the final one. Is it The Fabelman?
Fablemans, yeah, fortunately no
Fablemans.
numbers in there. And Steven Spielberg, guys, personally, it might sound crazy to say this, but he's back on form. Previously, I didn't like The Post with Meryl Streep. I didn't like Bridge of Spies, but each to his own. There were some people who definitely did. BFG was pretty good, but The Fablemans, this is such a personal story, like the intimacy of it. It's really, obviously not, the character's not named Steven and whatever, but it's about how he finds not just the love for cinema, but what cinema means to him as catharsis, as therapy for his family unit with Michelle Williams. She's definitely
She's
gonna.
brilliant.
She's one of the. Sure, she's
She
incredible.
is one of the best actresses.
Such an organic mind. Everything she does is so natural. Is there anything in particular you remember enjoying her from, or like do you just know she's got a presence in your
Every
head?
time she's
got
been
real
in a
estate.
movie, she captivates me.
Steals the camera. But fortunately, also elevating the entire piece she does. It's not like all just about her. So The Fablemans, guys, if you want to know why Steven Spielberg became who he is, why he looks at movies the way he does, and that you see that even in stuff like Saving Private Ryan, which is ostensibly a World War II movie, he's got his own personal story coming in there. How cinema helps him tango with like these difficult feelings that he's had from the past, the sense of loneliness, how cinema brings us together and whatever. Fablemans is one of the most beautiful of last year. Please don't miss it. When Oscar season comes up, you're going to want to see names like Michelle Williams. You're going to obviously want to see names like Paul Dano. Steven Spielberg, so Fablemans is really him at his height again, and what a heartfelt personal story. You really are invited into a very, very personal space with the guy, so.
Oh, amazing. Well, JP Sebastian, thank you for bringing us and taking us through the movies currently available on the circuit. And there you have it. If you're looking for some entertainment, now you know what to go and watch.
Definitely.